Hey, this is Mike McFarlane, the voice of Master Roshi, and you're watching Manaboo! I mean Mana Beast!
Well, hello, all you fine, sexy people in internet land. It is Brian or Jedi with Mana Beast, doing a deck profile on a little something I've been working on over the past few weeks. It is Saiyan Rampaging Trunks. I've been experimenting with the deck a bit. I've been working on it for the past few weeks. I had to say I've had a lot of fun with the deck. It's pretty fun. It's done fairly well. It's had its tough matchups, but I wanted to go over it because I do think it can be a good, let's just say, B tier deck. It may not be a top tier deck necessarily, but I still think it's fun and still think it's a quality deck. So let's go over everything. Starting off here with the Saiyan Rampaging Mastery, you need 1 less anger to advance a personality level to a minimum of 4. Your styled attacks gain hit. You may raise your anger 1 level, which is really good for this deck because we are an MPPV deck. That is one of our goals, so that's why this mastery is really important for us. Then power, discard a styled card with endurance from your hand to perform a non-styled physical attack dealing 1 plus X stages of damage. X equals the amount of endurance on the discarded card. This helps with a lot of cards sometimes are dead mid-combat. If you are in a situation where, let's just say, maybe you have a block that you don't necessarily need and you need to go on more of the offensive, this card helps along with it because you're able to add to the damage of it instead. We are going to run entirely all the old Trunk stack. I do like the new Trunk stack, but for this, I very much like the ability to look at the top 4 cards. So at level 1, when entering combat, look at the top 4 cards of your life deck, place them back in any order, and of course you draw them in the order, so you get to look at the top 4, and then essentially put one of the cards as the one you don't want to draw, and then banish the top card of your opponent's discard pile. Again, to me, it's more control. It's more manipulating what I get. Then as level 2 here is the OG when entering combat. Look at the top 4 cards of either player's life deck and place them back in any order. This helps if you're going into combat against your opponent and you want to rearrange their deck, put a key card back down so they can't get to it, and then banish a card from your opponent's discard pile. This is really key for a lot of things as you're doing damage. You can banish that key Time as a Warrior's Tool. You can get rid of confrontations. You can get rid of those cards in their discard pile as you're doing damage that normally they're going to try to get out with Visiting the Past, and you're like, no, you're not. Then we're going to move on to level 3. My favorite of all of his levels of the old stack. When entering combat, look at the top 6 cards of your life deck and place them back in any order, draw a card. So automatically right off the bat, we get to look at the top 6. This helps us big time in not only our combat against the opponent, but when they go in on us. So we're able to look at the top 6, rearrange them, get key guards, decide how we want to measure the match out, and then we get to draw a card. So really when it comes down to it in combat, you get to look at the top 6 cards, and then you get to draw 4. So at the end, you've got 5 cards in your hand going into combat, which is super helpful in this meta. Especially really attack aggro decks, gives you a better wall of defense to go against them. His level 4, I still run it, even though it's not as good for the draw ability, but it's when entering combat, look at the top 6 cards of a player's life deck and put them back in any order. For me, this is good late game. This allows us to get the key cards out of their hand. So really what you want to do when you've got a good hand to go into combat all them, look at the top 6, get rid of blocks, get rid of modifiers, get rid of stare downs, get rid of spheres, and then give them a dead hand to go in on you. So this level here is for either putting that last bit of damage or getting up to MPPV victory and getting 5 anger. So this helps to prevent against them having anti-anger cards or wall breakers especially, which this deck absolutely hates. So with that, let's go into the deck itself. First, let's go ahead and just go into setups here. We are going to run 2 Saiyan Peace. Saiyan Peace is a setup, limit 2 per deck power. Use After your opponent advances a personality level, you may set your anger to 0. If you do, lower your opponent's MP 1 level. This card is key against especially the Cell matchups, Android 20 orange matchups, any orange matchup that's going to use Devouring Drill to just level up, any card that's going to be using any kind of advancement card, because in this meta now, we don't really necessarily worry about anger, we worry about people just advancing off of their innate skills, like Cell's Draining Attack or Cell's level 3. This is just a good way to put them back down a level. Even if you are at 0 anger, this doesn't really matter. You can play around their cards, wait till you're at the next level or at 0 or maybe even at 1, and lower yourself to 0 anger, keep your MP at its level, and then lower them back down. So this is a good preventative measure against those decks, and we run it at 2. Then we are also going to run 2 Visiting the Past, because this card is still, I can't say enough about it. It's Visiting the Past. You get to get anything from your discard pile. Come on, that's pretty smexy. Like, I mean, I don't wanna like overtalk this card. Pretty smexy. So we run it at 2 because it's too good. And then we are gonna run 3 Saiyan Enraged, which in this deck is absolutely nuts. Set up power, raise your anger 2 levels, rejuvenate the bottom 2 cards of your discard pile. If your MP's power level is higher than your opponent's MP's power level, draw a card. So it serves at getting us 2 anger, which in this deck we only need to get to 4, so that's halfway to the next level. It rejuvenates cards from our discard pile, again helping us to stay in the game for survival victory. And then most of the time we are going to be higher than our opponent, so if we are, we get to draw a card. So all in all, an overall amazing setup. This meta, there are a lot of control setup decks, so when you draw into this, put it down on the field, it helps for late game as you're going into the later stages, level 3 and 4 especially, to just get that quick anger, level up, and then try to win by MPPV. Moving on to the events, we run a total of 2 Confrontation, you know, just to get rid of that key card in their hand and say no. We are running 2 Spheres because, well, we don't want them doing that to us as well. You know, we got to combat and we want to say no to them. We will run 2 Spheres because we want to say no back. We're going to run 2 Enhanced Reflexes. The meta still has Krillin in it. This is just a solid Omni block as it is, but then the ability to stop those auto crits from Destructo Disc if you're going against promo Krillin. Black Krillin, Orange Krillin, still a thing. So we want to stop those cards, and then even other decks that may have named attacks you want to stop as well. It's another really good card to have. Running a single Times Warriors tool because, you know, time, stopping all things, and pretty good. We're going to run 3 of the new block, or prevention block I should say, from set 5. Saiyan Obstruction, Endurance 4, which is awesome for not only the mastery, but for just getting hit. If this card is discarded from your hand, rejuvenate it. So with the mastery, if you discard it, you rejuvenate it instead and go to the bottom of your deck. So you get the card back. And then prevent all damage from an energy attack. So the energy attack will still hit, but it prevents all damage from it, which is really good. And then we're gonna run 3 of the Omni block, Saiyan Outrage. Power stops a physical or energy attack, and then if you're higher than your opponent in your power level, then you are able to search your life deck for a card that attaches to your MP and place it into play attached. Now, we don't really use the secondary effect as much. I mean, it's good. We just don't use it to the same extent that you did in old Saiyan decks. But it's still a good Omni block, and it's still one we run in the deck because, well, you know, Omni blocks are pretty amazing. All right, here, let's go into energy attacks. First, going on with the block we just talked about here, we have 3 Saiyan Energy Deflection. Really great card for the Endurance 2, stopping an energy attack, and raise your anger by 1. I was running the other energy block, the Saiyan Dominance, which was if you're a higher, it did the same thing essentially. It stopped an energy attack, it raised your anger by 1, and then if your personality is higher than the opponent's, you get to shuffle back into your deck. However, I felt that the Endurance 2 on this card was a better thing to have. It's much more key. Shuffling in is nice, but I'd rather have a total 6 Endurance in my deck to go against those beatdown decks. We are then going to run 3. This may surprise some of you. It's an oldie but a goodie. Enrage Blast. This is just simply a very good anger card. Vanish after use, energy attack costing 3 stages, so it's a little high. Doesn't do a lot of damage, only 4 life cards, but raise your anger 2 levels. This is really the only reason we're running it. I mean, it's a poke. It's gonna do 4 life cards if it hits, and we raise our anger by 2. 2 for us is such a magic number. If we can raise our anger by 2 and we're at 2, everything goes in 2. So we're at 2, raise by 2, get to the next level. That's why this card is really important, because when you're mid-level and you're at 2 anger, you want to get up to the next level as soon as possible. You don't want to get hit by a devastating blow. You don't want to get hit by an anti-anger card by any means. This card just bumps you up to the next level as fast as possible. So we run it at 3. We are going to run 3 Saiyan Rapid Fires. This is one of the mini cards we'll talk about that is not only good for what it does, but it is the anti-wall breaker card. Energy attack costing 1 stage. Damage from this attack cannot be prevented or modified. Damage is 5 life cards. Hit, raise your anger 1 level. So really where this comes into play is against anytime you're on wall breaker. This is 1 stage, you can't prevent it or modify it. So it's gonna hit for 5 life cards, no matter what. If it hits, it's 5 life cards. Boom, then we get rid of wall breaker, okay? That's the positive thing, right? We get rid of the wall breaker off of us. Then, even if we're not talking about wall breaker, the positive thing with this card is, beyond that, hit, raise your anger 1 level, and then with a mastery, raise your anger 1 level. So it's gonna do guaranteed crit if it hits, and if it hits, it gets us guaranteed 2 anger. Really awesome card just for 1 stage. And also, it gets rid of the wall breaker. So, and we ourselves are going to run Wall Breaker 2. Now, I'm not going to go into a long, lengthy discussion about this because I've already talked about it on the retro forums multiple times. Here's all I'm going to say about Wall Breaker, condensed. The advantages it gives you against a multitude of decks outweigh the possibility of it being a dead card in some matchups. Again, the benefits I've gotten from this card, time after time, match after match, tournament after tournament, from its release until set 5 in multiple tournaments, has proven itself in testing and playing in tournaments. So you can think and say what you will about the card, but for me and how it has played and tested in the meta, it continues to prove itself to be a valuable card at neutering decks, slowing them down even if it is for a turn or 2, and giving you the ability to come back and slow them down, giving you a great advantage. So it's why I taken it at 2 and still believe it's a great card to run. Other physicals we are going to run. We're going to run 3 Saiyan Left Kick. Endurance 1, physical attack, damage at +4 life cards, which is a really good damage modifier there for you, with Trunks and especially in the higher levels it gets. And then raise your anger by 1 level. If this hits, this is an auto 2 anger. So again, this is a anger deck. We're wanting to get as much anger as possible. This is a good all-around card for that. We are then also going to run 3 of the new Saiyan Face Strike. Physical attack, raise your anger 2 levels. If this attack is stopped, draw a card. Damage is AT stages. Damage isn't that great. Hit, lower your anger by 2 levels. This is another key card to have when we're at 2 anger ourselves. So when we're at 2 anger, we use this card, right? Go up to the next level. If they block it, we draw a card. Okay, bonus for us, which I don't know why they would stop it. But if it does hit, we can choose the order of resolution of effects. So say we're at level 1 with 2 anger. We hit with this, raise our anger by 2. Hit effect goes off. We have the hit effect from the mastery and the hit effect from the Saiyan Face Strike. These are 2 competing hit effects and we can resolve them in any order. So what we would do is, we would use the hit effect of this card. Hit, lower your anger by 2 levels. We're at 0 anger, we can't possibly lower our anger. And then we would activate the mastery, raising our anger by 1, making this card a net of 3 possible anger, which is pretty amazing for us. And that's really where it shines for us. It's just great for popping up to that next level. Even if it doesn't hit, right, we still get to raise our anger by 2 levels. That's the bonus. We're either going to draw a card or we're going to get up to the next level. So that's why we run it at 3. We are also going to run 3 Saiyan Spin Kick, great endurance, endurance 2. Physical attack, damage at +3 stages, raise your anger 1 level, lower your opponent's anger 1 level, and then destroy an ally. Again, all around good. I love the endurance on this. I love the damage on it, raising our anger, lowering their anger, and then destroying an ally. So this card, for a multitude of reasons, is run at 3 up because of it's just got an all-around powerful effect. And if it hits, we're gonna net 2 anger off the mastery. Other physical attacks, we're gonna run 2 Sinister Chokes. This is not styled, however, this is more going along what we talked about, anti-wall breaker. We've already talked about focus assault, right? We've already talked about running the other energy attack that is a unpreventable. This is just another one. You know it, you love it. Sinister Choke. It is unpreventable at 5 life cards, and if they have 7 or more of the following cards on the field, including their own personality, then it can't stop it at all. So another anti-wall breaker card. Guaranteed 5 damage if it hits. We run it at 2. Other cards we're going to run here are 3 Saiyan Crunch. Now, this card, as far as its overall power, is kind of a little weak. Physical attack, raise your anger 1 level, so we get an anger. If your opponent passed in his last action in this combat, this attack cannot be stopped. Damage is 1 life card. Now, this is not really important for us. The damage itself is really weak. However, the hit effect, you may set your anger to 0 and banish 10 cards from your discard pile to choose a styled attack in your discard pile and place it in your hand. Again, this is where we trick around the leveling of the deck. This is a prime card to play when you're at 2 anger. A lot of these cards really work out great at 2 anger. Because what we do is, at 2 anger, we raise our anger to 3, right? Then, if it does in fact hit for the 1 life card, we'll raise our anger from the mastery, getting up to the next level, and then hit, we will set our anger to 0 because we're already at 0, we just have to set it, then banish 10 cards from your discard pile to choose a style attack in your discard pile and place it into your hand. This is a great last card to play in a combat because we're going to play this, they have nothing to block, and then we can play another card that's in our discard pile. And we've got a lot of good cards in our discard pile that we want to use again. That could be another attack, that could get us more anger, that could get us more damage. So we run this at 3 because it's really good for that. And not only that, this is an anti-cell card. This is anti-cell level 3, if you didn't know that. You can use this card, and I've used it a couple times just to get rid of cards in my my discard pile to not allow Cell to level, because Cell has to banish cards in order for that to work. So it actually works as an anti-Cell as well. So we run that at 3. We are going to run, what do you know, more anti-wall breaker cards. 3 Saiyan Leaping Strike. Physical attack. Whenever you gain stages this combat, all of your opponent's personalities lose 1 stage. Banish a card attached to your MP. Again, anti-wall breaker here. We're talking about more hate for wall breaker because we don't want it on us. Hit. If you banished an attached card with this card's immediate effect, you may draw a card. So we get rid of wall breaker, and if we hit, right, we gain an anger from its immediate effect, and we get to draw a card. So it gets us deeper into our deck and more drawing. And because we are Trunks, we're going to run the new Trunks Physical here. This is Trunk Slam. This card is considered styled. Physical attack, raise your anger 1 level. If you stopped attacking your opponent's last action in this combat, your opponent passes for his next action in this combat, which works in well with Saiyan Crunch, because we can combo Trunk Slam with Saiyan Crunch to make them pass, to make it hit, to let us do things. And then, of course, because this is considered styled, if we hit with it, we raise our anger 1 more time. So this is a 2 anger card for us. Moving on to blocks, we're going to run 3 Saiyan Arm Catch. Another great, endurance 2, stops physical attack, raise your anger 1 level. This is just like energy defect, the physical version of energy deflection. It's great endurance, and it raises our anger, which is what we want to do. And then a new block from the new set, which I like a lot, is Saiyan Flip. This card, endurance, is considered to be 4 for your card's effects. So again, with the mastery, we're able to discard it to do a non-styled attack for some pretty good stage damage. Stops a physical attack. Attach your MP. While attached, AT damage is considered to be 4 for all your physical attacks. So we use this to not only block attacks, but then when we want to do some damage with their physicals, we're always at 4. So we're always doing 4 plus whatever it is. So it doesn't matter where they're at. If you're going against Cell or a high level MP, we're always going to be, our AT is always going to be 4. So we're going to be doing some big damage on our physical attacks, which is helpful for us a lot of times. And the endurance one is nice to boot. And then, to top it off, we are running 1 Dr. Brief. New card from the new set. If your MP is Bulma, Trunks, or Vegeta, you may use this power regardless of your MP's power stage. Power used when you're in combat, draw a card. Just a good thing to go along with Trunks' abilities. Getting extra cards on level 3, we have 6 cards in our hands. Pretty insane. So that's why we run this baby, because it's good for us for card advantage, because card advantage is pretty hot. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the deck as it is. We run quite a bit of anger in the deck. Angering out on this deck is very viable. We have a lot of we have 8 anti-wall breaker cards, or actually 10 anti-wall breaker cards in the deck. So 1/6 of our deck is dedicated to saying no to wall breaker, and we can anger up and win. So I've liked this deck a lot. It's worked out really well. I've had a lot of fun with it, and I hope you enjoy it as well. Of course, give us your comments of the deck, what you think, what you would change, what you would, maybe make a little different. And yeah, we'll see y'all next time for some more Mana Beast action. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, subscribe, rate, and comment, and we'll see you fine people next time.